tutorial, I'm working with Borgo de Pazzi's Julia. With alpaca, wool, bamboo, linen, and acrylic, this is a really soft yarn. There are 140 meters to 100 grams in this bulky weight skein. I really enjoy the added metallic pieces, which add a lot of fun and flair to this yarn. Also, if you're looking for a really quick project that you could work up with just one skein, you could make a really beautiful cowl with this. Welcome to the third video for Learn to Crochet with Borgo de Pazzi. Today we're going to talk about the double crochet stitch. And this stitch is really simple in comparison to the half double crochet. It just has one small change to it. And this type of stitch has a completely different characteristic. It creates a much taller stitch than it is wide. Now, this stitch is really simple. We're going to show you how to do it today. However, I do recommend that if you have not seen the first two videos in this series, that they're really important for understanding how to begin the very first part of your crochet projects, the chain stitch, as well as how to work into that chain row. So I'd recommend going to see the first two videos before starting this one. Now the double crochet stitch is slightly different from the other stitches. It creates a higher stitch, and also because it creates a higher stitch, we have to add more chain stitches at the beginning of our row. Generally, 3 chain stitches are enough for creating the height that we need for the next row. So you can see here that I've changed these 3 stitches, and they're about the same height as the row below. This is really important because if we don't chain with those 3, then we'll have a very strange beginning and a little bit of a wonky edge where we won't have this nice straight edge to our work. So it's very important at the very beginning we're going to make those 3 chains. Another thing, in this lesson, there are many different ways to make a foundation double crochet, and I'm going to show you that in a later video. However, these 3 chain here is going to count as our first stitch. So when we're working the next stitch in our row, we're actually going to be starting with the second stitch in the row because these 3 chains count as stitch number 1. Now you can see that there's a little bit of a gap because here is the last stitch from the row before, and these chain 3 we're going to pretend that they are all in one together. Often in double crochet, when we use the chain 3 method, you can see that there's a tiny little gap on those on that first stitch in the row. This will be solved either through blocking, so when you block your work, they will probably close up like I'm showing you here, or you can work the foundation crochet stitch, which you'll see in a later video. Now, so because that's going to count as our first stitch, we're going to skip the very first stitch that we see underneath here, and we're going to work into the next stitch over. Okay, to start the double crochet, you're first going to yarn over and then go into the second stitch. You're going to yarn over again and pull up a loop. So this is looking very familiar to the half double crochet stitch. We have 3 loops on our hook. This is where it changes to the double crochet. We're going to yarn over and pull through only 2 of the loops on our hook. Then we're going to have 2 loops left, so we're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. That completes the double crochet stitch. Now, if you remember from the first video where we did a single crochet, the single crochet is where we're only working with 2 loops on our hook. So when we yarn over and pull through 2, you'll see here that here we have those 2 loops and they look very similar to a single crochet. Now when we yarn over and pull through 2 again, it's as if in one stitch we have 2 single crochets stacked on top of each other. And actually, when we make a little bit of a measurement, the single crochet stitch is the same height as half of a double crochet stitch. So that's why we call this the double crochet stitch. Now let's do it again. We're going to yarn over, put our hook through the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, and that completes the double crochet stitch.